Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'm Gunnar Rios, and welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers podcast. Tonight, I am joined by the usual suspects, Mr. Blanca Kong, Mr. Esoteric, and Mr. Hado Wolf. And tonight, we're going to do a kind of like top four kind of style video. So, Kong brought us a interesting Instagram video a couple days ago talking about like our Mount Rushmore of bosses. Now, for those that don't know, they might not be American and whatnot. Mount Rushmore is kind of a national landmark here in the states, and it's the side of a mountain, and four presidents' faces are carved: Washington, Roosevelt, uh, Thomas Jefferson, and Lincoln. So that doesn't mean anything. But anyway, there's four guys on the side of a mountain. So the point of the video was, what is our Mount Rushmore? Like, if you had to put three video game boss faces on the side of a mountain, who would you put? And we figured that was a pretty cool, fun, chill topic to do. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to each name off a boss. We're going to talk about what we found difficult about them, why they made our Mount Rushmore, and we're just going to go like that for four bosses for four panelists. So I'll start off first. Um, this is in no particular order for me personally. I don't know how the other guy. I'm not ranking it from top to bottom. It's just like who's on the side of the mountain. So for me, one of them is Lady Unalesca from Final Fantasy X. So, quick rundown on the boss. She's like kind of a mid to kind of end game boss. She is a mandatory boss. You have to fight her. And the reason why she was very tough for me is because when it comes to Final Fantasy bosses, especially back then, I didn't really account for status ailments. Not many bosses use status ailments in Final Fantasy or a lot of JRPGs, some more than others. But Lady Unalesca was one of the first bosses that used a plethora of status ailments. The one being the most rage inducing for me was petrification. So for those that don't know what petrification does in RPGs, but in Final Fantasy, if you are petrified, you are petrified. You cannot act. Now, I tried to look it up and I couldn't find if this was a 10 specific thing, but in 10, if you're petrified and you are not cured of that status ailment in a timely manner and the boss hits them, no matter what it is, they literally shatter. Like it's a literal animation of them shatter into a million pieces, and they are permanently out of the fight. You cannot Phoenix down them, you cannot res them, they are out of the fight. They come back when you win, but they are removed from the fight. So when I was fighting that boss, I had to figure out, I had to prevent petrification. I had to cure it. I had to constantly manage status effects. She would do other status effects like bio and demi and poison. So I'm dealing with poison. I'm dealing with petrification. Shit was fucking wild. And I felt like I spent more time keeping my people alive than fighting her. And there were rare instances where I would launch damage and be able to do damage. And certain times I would call Yuna out and have her sacrifice a summon just to get damage in, knowing that that summon was going to die. So she was fucking wild. Very good boss fight, but one of the few bosses that I remember off the top of my head that utilized status effects as effectively as she did. Petrification being the wildest one. So that's my first one. I got three more, but I will pass it to the next panelist who wants to take up the torch. Give me one of your Mount Rushmore bosses.
It could be worse. She could be casting death on you, but she didn't have that in her arsenal. So,
No, I mean petrification pretty much was death because
It's
once
that,
they're gone, they're
right?
gone.
Yeah,
that's
once they're petrified,
yeah,
that's it.
that's true. Who wants to go?
I'm looking it up because I didn't know who this was, and it's the buff bikini lady
Yeah, she has
with
like mad
the
feathers and stuff coming out. Yeah,
Yeah,
stuff around
yeah.
her or whatever. Okay,
yeah, she's worse
cool.
than a Marlboro,
She
definitely.
looks like a tough boss. So, but all right, good to know. I didn't. Learned something new today. So, I think the only no, I think both of you guys would know this. I know I don't think Wolf would know this boss because I don't think he played Sekiro all the way to the end. But for
Nope.
me, first boss that came to mind when I heard this topic was Ishin, the Sword Saint from Sekiro. That boss took me like I think 2 weeks to beat, from just trying like 2 hours a day, just trying to like beat this guy. Because I think he had 3 forms, or I think there was like 3 phases in this fight,
Yep.
and it was like bare, very minimal healing. Like your healing wasn't. In Sekiro, there's no like, oh, I'm gonna put more points at HP. It was nothing like that. It was just you have to execute, and that's it. Like, and you can heal, but like your heals are limited. That boss was driving me fucking crazy. I think, to me, and some people might contest it, but I think that's the hardest boss that I've ever encountered in any Souls game. Like I can't think of one that gave me
He's
a harder
definitely
time
up there.
than Ishin. Ishin was, and there was other hard bosses in Sekiro.
Demon of Hatred.
The Demon of Hatred comes to mind. Um,
Owl. His second form, though.
yeah, I mean, sure. Genichiro maybe second form. The Guardian Ape. At least the first time I remember having a hard time with him, but those bosses are like, I don't know. Like once you kind of figure it out, it's not nearly as bad. But Ishin was like, he took me the longest to figure out. So Ishin, the Sword Saint from Sekiro, is. I'm doing this in order of difficulty. Is number one for me. He's the hardest boss that I've ever had to fight that I could think of. So yeah, that's
That
my,
wasn't a joke.
my first one.
I think one that might take the mantle, Kong, would be Orphan of Kaz from Bloodborne. If you ever encounter him,
That's in the DLC, right? Because
that's the DLC.
Yeah, I didn't play the DLC for Bloodborne, unfortunately.
Definitely worth it.
It's not that I can't. Like I have the Game of the Year edition. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah,
Someday.
highly recommend it. Oh man. So I guess I'll go next for my list. I don't have any particular order. I just went by what was giving me the hardest time ever, and I tried to kind of distribute it based upon different genres of games. So the first one I picked the fighting game, and this guy is annoying. I chose Shao Kahn, particularly from Mortal Kombat 2. I did not choose MK3 due to the fact that you had more utility. You had like the combos. They kind of, ironed out the details in terms of like the mechanics and whatnot. So you had more viability, even though you encountered Motaro, and that was a whole different story. But Shao Kahn particularly because like it was always this tug of war with him. I would beat him one round, and then he'll just start anticipating all my moves the second and third round, and that is it. And that's always have been the sequence of the fights for me. Then to add insult to injury, he would stop, he'll pose, he'll point at you, he'll say things like you will never win, things along the lines of you ain't shit, bow to me, all that stuff, right? And it's like no matter who I played with, whether it was my favorite character Scorpion, or I think one who would have the easiest time facing him would be Sub-Zero. He was just always a problem, and not to mention he hit exceptionally hard. So if you get caught by his shoulder rush, that was like a third of your HP. If you blocked, he probably cut that down to like maybe a little bit of chip damage, but you're still getting hit hard, and then he'll just constantly hit you with a barrage of shoulder rushes. He was exceptionally hard. And then I guess in conjunction with me being a kid back when I played MK2, it was extremely frustrating. So yeah, that was my first pick. He was absolutely a problem.
I remember fighting him. I don't think I ever beat him. Because as soon as you said it, the first image that came to my mind was that stupid fucking shoulder rush animation. I don't think I ever beat him, and I definitely I played Mortal Kombat 3 a lot more than I did 2 back in the Sega days.
Mhm.
So I remember the horse guy, what's his name?
Motaro.
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 Yeah.
I remember him very well.
Yeah, he was a pain in the ass too because your projectiles didn't work. They went right back at you. So if you played Sub Zero, he would freeze you.
I didn't play characters with projectiles. I played with Stryker and Johnny Cage. So for me, it was.
It's always crazy about fighting game bosses that you got the meme that they're OP busted when they're a boss, but when they're a playable character, they're a shell of their boss selves. Eh.
It's 100% true.
Well, with Mortal Kombat, I think Mortal Kombat was the exception because when you did get to play with the bosses in those games, with the exception of Shang Tsung, you did actually get them in their full glory because they hit just as hard. You got with Motaro particularly, any projectile that was thrown at him will be bounced right back to you. So you did get it in Mortal Kombat.
But I think that was like the Wild West days of fighting games. Now that everything's tournament ready,
Mhm.
like M Bison ain't coming out here fucking one shotting
Oh no.
people Psycho Crusher. So I think that was just like back in the day before esports was a conscious thought in people's minds and stuff.
Oh yeah.
One could arguably say a more fun time, but
True, true, and then also to add to that is the fact that they were just ported from the arcade, so you had that arcade difficulty as well, associated with the gameplay that you was experiencing. So it was meant for you to lose those fights.
true. That's how they prolonged the life of the game and got more quarters out of you.
It was crazy. But what say you, Wolf? What's your first pick?
My first pick also comes from a fighting game, but it comes from Soul Calibur 4. I'll go specifically from the game mode Tower of Lost Souls, floor 60. That mode in itself caused a lot of damage on my Xbox and had me go through 2 controllers. But I'll go as the final boss for Tower of Lost Souls in Soul Calibur 4 had this one ability where he could have one of his attacks become unbreakable at a small chance. That small chance was about every other hit. It was very consistent for him. And you trying to block the AI that is relentless, it was just very frustrating. I don't remember if I actually beat him. I remember the last thing I did was kick the Xbox 360 and the faceplate fell off. That's what I remember. And that was it for me with the Tower of Lost Souls. I'm done. But it was very cheap. You couldn't ring him out. He was unable to be wrung out. He was he could go through your guard. He could he had HP drain and his soul gauge was boosted. So he gained super faster than you did. Oh my god. That boss fight was very frustrating. The Tower of Lost Souls in itself was a frustrating situation to be in.
Oh yeah.
But once I got to floor 60, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done with this mode. I'm gonna consider myself that I've beaten it. And there were moments where I would just put the controller down and it's just like, let him just do his thing. Because it's just like, well, I'm guarding you and your unguardable attack small just so happens to kick in for 90% of your attacks. So I'm done. And it would always kick in when his HP is low.
Funny how that works.
Kick in, right. So for me, our goal is one of those bosses that it was a very frustrating and unpleasant situation.
All right. All right. So let me drop the second glorious face that would appear on my fictional mountainside. So this one might be a personal one. So somebody who hears this, or maybe you guys, are like, bro, really? That guy? But hey, this was my personal. This guy gave me the business. So for me, it was Bloodstarved Beast from Bloodborne. Now the reason I don't know why, maybe because I was retarded or something. I just had a hard time with this guy. Like, his attacks were spontaneous. He had poison, which would be like an aura around him, and when you got his HP to a certain threshold, it amped up, and it became like the gauge would just build. And this is relatively early in Bloodborne, and this is a mandatory boss. You have to fight this guy because he gives you your first chalice, which
No.
introduces you to the whole chalice dungeon mechanic. So there is no, oh, let me go and grind somewhere else, come back and fight him. Let me get a better weapon. Like, no, this you have to fight this guy. And he just gave me so much problems. Like, I I usually do this. You guys know. I'll usually research and like delve into the bowels of the internet to kind of just like what's the community talking about? Like what's best in slot weapons, what's trash and whatnot. And I'll look at spreadsheets of damage numbers. And but I never really do that for a Souls boss. I just kind of fight them, and it's like, well, I'm a magic build, so this is what I have, and this is what I roll with. But for this guy, I was looking up every YouTube video, like how to beat Bloodstarved Beast, what are his weaknesses, and I just like, I, I never did more research for a boss that wasn't an end game boss more than I did for this guy. Eventually, I beat him, and on subsequent playthroughs, now I still kind of have issues with him. On like when I just get a mood and I play Bloodborne again because it's a great game. But now I have an easier time. I know to come in with a weapon, and I'll put the fire paper because he's weak to fire. I summon an NPC for him. Call me what you want. I don't give a shit. I summon someone from him. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, Bloodstarved Beast for me was he made me rage more than Melania. And some people saying that is like, bro, what? You're nuts. But no, Melania I cheese. Sword of Fire and Night before it got nerfed. Mimic tier. Come at me. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, for me, second one, Bloodstarved Beast. That guy just gave me. He just gave me the business, man. I don't know why. He was just so difficult for. That's my second one. He's up on that mountain for sure.
Well, Gunner, here's a fun fact. I don't know if it's gonna frustrate you or not, but Bloodstarved Beast is actually an optional boss. He's not
No,
mandatory.
you have to fight him because he gives you your first chalice.
No, you don't. You don't have to. I mean, you can choose to do the chalices or whatnot, but he's actually optional if you wanted to like go through the story of the game. Yeah, he's an optional
I
fight.
could have sworn that when you beat him, it opens up a door that you couldn't get through before.
It's probably okay. So I think it was between two bosses you had to fight. I think it's either the cleric beast on the bridge or him. I think it's one or the other. But he's optional. He's definitely optional. I know he gives you something, but he's definitely an optional boss. He's not mandatory. Him and
Because
Dark Beast Parl. I think those are the two that are like optional bosses.
I'm looking it up as you guys are talking. He is, according to this website, he is optional. You don't have to
shit.
fight him.
Well, fuck. well,
Wow.
well,
You raged on an optional boss.
hey. Well,
Wow.
fuck it. He was mandatory to me, man.
You know
shit.
what
I
this
gotta
is?
do it.
This is the
Go
last laugh. He ended up getting the last laugh.
He did.
You were
He
so
did.
happy when you beat him. But long
Yeah, I was like,
before,
oh, I could progress now. We're
yeah,
good.
years
Wow,
later, and this boss got the last laugh on you.
that's something. Well, you know what?
And years later, a whole decade, because
You know,
Bloodborne was 2015.
take that, Bloodborne. You're still on the PlayStation 4. No, that's actually pretty. It should get it off the PlayStation 4. But hey, well, to me, it was mandatory because that guy was fucking. When I think of PTSD from Souls bosses, it's him. Him and his fucking flesh and poison. Fucking God, that boss was frustrating.
I mean, he was hard. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in my Mount Rushmore of like difficult bosses, personally, but like he would be an honorable mention. Definitely, he was definitely a boss that gave me a hard time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't beat him on within my first 5 tries. Like it took me
Yeah,
handful of
but
times.
I'm telling what I'm telling you, like I went on those clickbait YouTube videos. Top 10 ways to beat Bloodstarved Beast easy, no hit, 0 HP lost. I went on those videos. When you're on those videos, those clickbait shit, when they tell you like, oh, just dodge. That's how I do it. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
you're officially cracked at that point. Like
Yeah,
they're in your head
yeah,
when you're looking shit up like that. That's true.
yeah. So that's where I was, but
Yeah,
ah
I
man,
mean, when I had no knowledge of fighting him when I first, of course, when I play a Souls game, that's initially what happened. So I don't walk in trying to like research or anything, but I did find out that yes, he's definitely susceptible to fire, and I think if you throw like the pungent blood or something, he kind of like follows it and goes after it to like kind of devour it or something like that, and you could get some free hits off of him. I didn't figure that out till much later. That is like more of like a today years old thing, like a couple of years ago. So yeah, he has some vulnerabilities, but he definitely is hard. And antidotes was so few and far between from the time that you started to the time that you were like fighting him. So yeah, I agree. He's annoying.
that's why he's up
Yeah,
there for me.
I remember cheesing him a little bit, like because there was a like you fought him in like a chapel or something like that, and there were like pillars. So like I would kind of bait him around the pillars and like throw shit at him, and I remember kind of cheesing him a little bit because the poison was just so powerful that fighting him head on was just a death wish. So
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, my second one is a boss that we've all fought, and I think we've all raged at. And that boss is from Monster Hunter World, Alatrion.
Ooh.
Oh.
That boss
Mm.
made me question my Monster
Mm.
Hunter ability.
Mm.
For the
Mm.
first time in my time playing Monster Hunter, I've been playing Monster Hunter. All of us pretty much have been playing Monster Hunter for around the same amount of time. So
Mhm.
for me, my timeline starts at 2008.
Mhm.
2008 all
Mhm.
the way to
2016,
2020,
7.
2019, something like that,
Okay.
2018 maybe. I don't know. Whenever
Mm.
Iceborne came out. That motherfucker made me, in anime, especially like martial arts anime, the main character has like a fucking identity crisis. He's like, he doesn't even know who he is anymore. It's like,
Mhm.
am I the main character? Yugi has gone
Mhm.
through it. Ippo has gone through it. Like you
Yep.
name it. Like all these characters have had like a
Mhm.
crisis arc where they question like, am I even good enough anymore? And cue the sad
Mhm.
music and all that, right?
Hmm.
That motherfucker was my antagonist for making me go through that arc in Monster Hunter. I was like, I literally would sit in a room in the dark by myself with nothing playing, thinking about the fight after like hours of trying and just thinking about like the fuck do I do? I can't beat this fucking thing. Um
Mhm.
until I decided to just join the dark side and pick up the bow gun. I was like, you know what? I can't do with my hunting horn. I can't do with my hammer. I am simply not good enough. And I cocked that fucking light bow gun and I mowed that motherfucker down. I
And
say, you know
we
what,
started getting
bitch?
wins after that. Yeah.
You wanted to break the rules. I'm breaking the rules now. And I took
Alatreon.
that little hammer and I hit that do not break unless emergency glass. And I took that bow gun out and I soloed that motherfucker. And after I soloed him, I remember hitting Gunner up and I was like, let's run this fucking shit. Light bowgun. This is the strategy. This is what we're doing. And it worked like a charm. And I think,
Yeah.
no, I think I soloed it with Gunner. I think I soloed it with Wolf. I think
Mhm.
we three-manned
Yeah,
it.
because it was
Uh,
it
It
was me
was
and you who made his armor.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we
Mhm.
all
We
fought
all
them all
beat him,
together. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But
My journey was Kong and me making the armor. That was my journey with Alatreon in Monster Hunter World or Iceborne. That was my journey with it.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
So,
Elatrion is he is top of the food chain as far as difficulty goes, in my personal opinion. And I know people speed run him and all this. Good for you. But play that motherfucker back in 2019 or whenever it was, or 2018, and talk to me then. So
Yeah,
maybe those people are just that good. Cool, good for you, great. But that motherfucker changed the rules. He changed what a hunt was, just the fundamentals of how a hunt is supposed to work. He totally
He did, yeah.
just threw the rules out the window. Fuck your legacy skill. I'm not the Alatrion from fucking Monster Hunter Tri. I got new rules, motherfucker. I got a fucking Exodia in my deck, and I'm gonna automatically win this match. That's what he had. So anyway, that's my number 2.
Even in try, he was a bit annoying. Like,
He was scary.
yeah,
He was
He's a very intimidating monster.
yeah,
Even when we went back and fought him in Monster Hunter Generations earlier this year, and last year, fighting him was like stressful.
It's a little hard.
Like,
Yeah.
he was stressful.
Yeah, because even
100%.
him flying by you.
yes,
would
that
deal
shit's
damage to you.
scary.
Yeah.
When he flies at you, oh my god.
Yeah.
And this is without all the quality of life and reduced jankiness of world. This is like fucking old school Monster Hunter. You look at your bow gun when you out of ammo.
Yeah, you look at the gun like,
if you ain't Superman dive in, you dying straight up.
Yeah, that dude was scary, and that wasn't even with the MMO mechanics of world.
He didn't need
Alatrion
them.
definitely lives up to the lore of the Black Dragons. He definitely lives up to it.
Yeah.
And he's all walking around his pompous ass look, his neck so high up in the clouds, and you can barely hit that shit. Only way you could get hits off it is just fly.
Stupid fucking horns is like, you dare challenge me? It's like, you motherfucker.
And of course, it's his weakest point, which is harder for melee and trying to fucking aim with a fucking Switch controller. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna let critical damage go through your body, and we'll rack up damage that way. I'm not playing this game.
Oh yeah.
Man, I was trying to fucking lance his fucking dumbass tail, lance his face, and I'm just like, tippy toeing and shit.
Try harder, Knave. All right.
Where was weapon switching in that game for that boss?
It was Farcaster. Go into the camp.
Right. Yeah. That was the best you gonna get.
That was the only boss in any Monster Hunter game where that whole mechanic from the new one now, Wiles, the weapon switching would have made sense.
That's probably what made them think about it. It's like, there's a flaw in this design.
But you don't give us bosses that utilizes that mechanic. So
True.
it would have been a nice mechanic to have in against Alatrion and Iceborne.
True.
But go on.
Yeah,
go on, SO.
Let's see what the future holds. Who knows, right? But my second one was a huge pain in the ass. Kong just spoke about how he had to sit in the dark and question his humanity and his skills and whatnot. This boss did the same for me, and that was Alma from Ninja Gaiden. Alma from Ninja Gaiden was a huge problem, a huge pain in the ass. It was just... I thought that I was doing really well against the prior bosses until I encountered her. And I'm not talking...
That's the pink flying one, right?
Yep, the pink flying one.
Yeah,
yep.
You see, if I had made it that far in Ninja Gaiden, that would have been the end of Ninja Gaiden. I would have made my own imaginary credits. I would have made my own imaginary screen roll, and Ninja Gaiden would have ended there for me. Yep.
Well, she is beatable. I was able to beat her, but it took a long time. It's like a lot of just staring at the TV, a lot of just like gripping the controller really hard. And back in those days, it was the Duke, so it was a really big, brawly controller. Thank goodness for that, because I was squeezing the life out of that controller. And like...
Lucky you had a first party controller. I had a Mad Catz fucking GameStop bullshit controller back then. That's all I could afford. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that, but okay, so Alma was one of those bosses where like all those things was happening, but Have you ever just like played a game in the room with a couple of people and they're like all quiet watching you play, and then when you lose, it just someone just says like just the normal of just a normal statement, and you just want to turn around and want to fight them? That's what Alma did for me, right?
All the time.
That's
I
what
could think of numerous situations like that.
it's like. I remember vividly. I was fighting Alma, and then like my older brother was sitting behind me just watching or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, you'll get her next time." And I just turned around and just looked at him with just beaming my eyes at him and just put the
You'll
game
get him
down and
next
walked
time,
away.
buddy.
I was just so annoyed, but I felt a huge sense of accomplishment when I beat her, because Ninja Gaiden takes a lot of skill. Like you have to have a lot of precision. You have to anticipate the enemy's attacks, and the worst thing for me is that in Ninja Gaiden, they anticipate your attacks as well. So there are times where she'll wait for me to make the first move. Like she'll be strafing along beside me or whatever. And then as soon as I attack, she would like freaking do her spinning dodge into her flying Alatreon attack and knock me down and shit. It was just, oh my god, it was a problem. She was a problem. And one more thing, as you guys already know, I have a tendency to do really well in boss fights to the point where I get them down to like a sliver of health, and then all shit just changes. It's like, there's like a huge
We call
divine.
that monkey brain.
Yeah,
Monkey brain.
yeah, monkey
Yeah.
brain.
One fucking HP away from death, and you just
Relax
morph
up.
into just a
Mhm.
fucking dumbass chimp
Mhm.
with a controller, and you fuck it up. Yep.
The way I look
Monkey
at it
brain.
was like the way I looked at it was divine intervention for the enemies. Like they getting like buffs and shit because she was dodging everything. Like, oh my god, I was like, oh shit, all I need is just one hit. And then me and my stupid ass is just spamming X and Y trying to get some type of hit and roll it out the way. But then she killed me.
Or going for that extra hit that you shouldn't go for, because it's 3 hits and run or 2 hits and run. But you're like, it's so close. If I could just get one more, and game over.
Yeah, I'm
Remember you were just
notorious
playing
for that too.
Turtles in Time the other day on stream. You were playing Turtles in Time, and Super Shredder would hit you with the fucking spell that would turn you into a baby turtle, and you're just useless. It's the same thing, but in real life. Like you just turn into a baby turtle. You can't do anything, and you lose.
Oh, and I did that, and I do that all the time, and I did that with him too, because he had like just one bar, and I just needed one combo to get him, and then I went for that extra hit. He turned me into a baby turtle. Game over. I was like, God damn it! It's so embedded in my brain. I can't help but do it. But yeah, that's my second person.
So, actually, me and Kong was on the same wavelength with the Monster Hunter theme thing with the hardest bosses. And for me, was Bolt Weaver Astalos. I will never fight that monster ever again. You couldn't pay me to fight Bolt Weaver Astalos ever again. That monster, we had game plans.
Yeah.
We had strategies. We had multiple nights to the point where even Gunner would get frustrated and just log for the night. we tried 3-man, 4-man, 2-man. Hell, Kong even went to try to fight him himself.
A madman.
to figure him out. I could. That
Did not work out.
Was like, it was what, 4 days? It was about 4 nights of trying. I think
No,
it was the
longer
longest.
It was longer than that, because we would take breaks and move on to other stuff
and build on other things.
and build other things, because it was just like, tonight's not a Bolt Reaver night. We're not. Let's just do. Oh, you need some glamour done? Let's do that. Let's do that tonight.
We went and fought the hardest version of Fatalis to make armor to fight Bolt Weaver, which even though you had freaking 20 plus thunder resistance, it was nothing to him because he created Thunderblight, which you still got. And he would either paralyze you or he'll bring you closer to him with his lightsaber sword to KO you. Oh my gosh, that monster was like, this is ridiculous. And we're playing old school Monster Hunter. So you take a potion, you are flexing. And when you flex, you took a whole light beam sword straight to the chest. The instant.
The arena was big enough that his sword would hit you no matter. If you were on the other side, the rock didn't save you. It went right
Nope.
through it.
Went right
Like
through the rock.
we had call outs. It was like I
Beam
remember
saber, beam saber.
beam, saber, and it's just like,
Mhm.
and he would go into the air, and he's like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna do saber? Is he gonna do his
Was he gonna
big body
crash
slam?
down?
Like,
Yeah. I was like, this. He was the hardest deviant for me. Him, followed closely by Thunder Lord Zeno, the Thunder Monsters. The Thunder Monsters were the harder deviants for us. But
yeah,
Bolt Weaver, oh my gosh.
You want
New
that friction,
respect to
right?
Astalos.
You wanted that friction. You got it.
I was like, you need like the whole can of WD-4 to
Dude,
get that shit moving.
that's like trying to have sex with sandpaper. That's how much friction there is.
Yeah. Like, you don't give up. It's like, I could just stop doing this and save my dick, but it's like, nope, wait, I'm here, she's here, we're gonna make it work.
Must be done.
You're doing it terrible, but you're doing it good.
There were
Holy
even
Joker.
moments.
I'm a man of my word.
There were even moments where we would get a KO and then everybody's just quiet.
Yeah.
Everybody's just quiet. Like, did that really just happen? Did we really just lose? It was Boat Weaver never again. Never again. I'll take on any other I'll take Bloodbath Diablos.
Bloodbath
over Boat Weaver.
wasn't all that compared. Like, well,
No.
he made me change my fucking skills, which is a first for me. But other than that, I was like, once we had the hearing protection in place, we were fine.
You gotta give Bloodbath his respect, because like I think the reason why we were able to like beat him as quickly as we did is we didn't have to fight him nearly as many times, because
True.
to make his armor, it was like it didn't require as much. That's one. Two, we had been through so much up until that point, because he was the last deviant, that we had built such a callus to the
Yeah.
bullshit that I think we ascended to a new level of like ability in that game. So
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
From Crystal Bear to Thunderlord to Astalos.
And mind you, Crystal Beard is a pain in the ass once you get him to like the final level. He's a pain in the ass. He took us a few nights as well. But Astalos, oh my god. I thought we were all gonna quit right then and there with Astalos. I thought we were just gonna like, you know what? Wilds is right around the corner. Let's just wait it out. Let's just wait it out. I honestly thought Astalos came so close to making me retire. I built so many different bow guns, ice bow guns. I built so many different armor sets to give me thunder resistance, to give me stun resistance, and it felt like it didn't even matter. I was paper to him. He cut through me like a sharp blade.
Every time he did an attack, it was like either we dodge or I'm gonna see a name pop up, blah blah blah, fainted. Two cards left. Like, let's see what happens.
And I think the biggest issue is that, if I'm not mistaken, you had to you couldn't flash him unless you broke his head. That was
Correct.
the only way to.
Yes. And unlike other deviants, where if you broke a body part, it would kind of neuter or kind of reduce the effectiveness of a move. Nope, you broke his horn. That beam saber's still just as long, still just as wide, and will fuck you up just as much. I'm like,
Yep.
and there was no cooldown. Even with Zenogre, there was a cooldown. This guy's like, oh, you discharged me? Cool, it's all back on.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Like he was just on full retard mode all the way.
No cooldown, no like, all right, we got like 2 minutes where he's not enraged. Nope, he would just, I'm back on. Cool.
Yeah, like literally, like in a second, you would break him. He would do the animation of losing the power. You're like, okay, cool. And then he would just
charge right back up,
turn it back on. I'm just like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But
not even Thunderlord Zenogre could do it. He charged up super quick, but he still had a charge up.
No, Bolt Reaver got it. He was.
Yeah.
It was just instant.
Yeah.
If you wanted it to be.
Bolt Reaver got a lot of love in that game. Somebody on the team was like, "Nah, I'm a Bolt Reaver fan. He's my Oshi. I'm gonna make him. I'm in charge of him. Cool. I got it. Don't worry about it."
Bolt Weaver was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Bolt Reaver is last thing I want to say.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a joke. Bolt Reaver is how fighting him is how the Zaku pilots felt fighting Gundam in the first anime. Like, they were so scared of him, and rightfully so, because it's just like his saber just cuts anything.
Yeah.
Ooh, fuck
Yeah.
you. I don't care what you're. It just doesn't matter.
We
I mean,
were
it is a
rusty
beam
Zaku
saber.
ones with a fucking Heat Hawk
Dude, that's what it
against
felt like.
fucking
That's really what it felt like.
this
Yeah.
kid in a new type with a fucking beam
And then the
sword.
Federation just drops a mobile suit on you, and it's like, well, we don't know what this is.
The White Devil,
This
we're
isn't normal.
we're fucking dead. That's it. It's the Blue Devil.
Jeez. All right, yeah, Astalos. Definitely, yeah, fucking. If I put him on the other side of the mountain, he go on my other side. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, my next one is kind of a low stakes one, but this guy's tough. So this is from Final Fantasy Tactics,
Oh.
and this is Wergaff slash Velius from Final Fantasy Tactics. So the reason why he's hard, it needs a little description, is it's a 1v1 fight. So that game's a tactical RPG. You have your team and you fight with them. But in this particular fight, you only have Ramza. Now, the goal isn't to kill him, it's to kind of get him to a certain HP, and then a cutscene happens, and then you get your team. So, but that beginning fight, it's him and Ramza. And the thing that makes it tough is in this game, due to the storyline, some bosses would transform into like giant monsters based off the Zodiac. So he was Cancer, I believe. That's the ram one, right? The one that's a ram.
Crab.
So
Cancer
What's-
is a crab. Ram is a Taurus, I think.
No,
Tauros,
Aries.
there you go.
Aries.
Okay.
Taurus is a
Aries.
bull.
Aries, yeah, okay, yeah. So he would turn into
There we go.
Aries, which was like a bull, yeah, a bull. So they were all based off the zodiac sign. And he was tough because you had to fight him by yourself, and he would basically two-shot you, even if you were decently leveled and geared. So basically, the way I found was to switch my job to one of the default jobs, which is Squire, I believe, going off of memory. And all I would do was do a skill called Accumulate, which would basically buff your damage every turn. It would buff it by 1 point. So all I did for that whole fight was run around the map while he chased me, doing that one move. And then I would turn around, and this took maybe, I want to say 30 minutes to do. And then I would turn around and hit him once and bring him to half HP to trigger the next fight. And I was scratching my head as how do I beat this guy? Like, how? Like, I have a team and I can't use this team. So I had to basically cheese the boss, legitimately, to finally beat him. So I will always remember him because that game, Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics, is very challenging. It's one of the most challenging strategy RPGs where even chocobos will fucking wreck your shit because they'll just hit you with Choco Meteor and it's GG.
Can't wait
So,
to play
like-
it again.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, say what you want about remakes and remasters. If anybody gets a chance to play the upcoming one on Switch and PlayStation and PC, try it. I hope they keep the difficulty intact, because then you will experience this fight. So, next one for me is Wergaff, and specifically his Velius form. So it's a very coming off of Astalos, which is like super action packed and like fucking crazy. This is like a low stakes, like a not low stakes, but a low speed difficulty. But you if anybody knows that game and knows strategy RPGs, they'll go, yeah, that motherfucker was something else because it's a solo fight, which is crazy. Main character or no, but yeah, that's my next one.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to fight him again.
I wouldn't even consider it a low tier because the thing is with Final Fantasy Tactics, like you can be on a field fighting for hours. You could be in a battle for hours just trying to determine what you want to do, who you want to move, how you want to play things. And the thing is particularly with that fight was, as far as I recollect, he walked more spaces than you.
Yeah.
He was faster in every regard. The stage was relatively smaller than usual. So everything was stacked against you. So the best strategy was to hit and run.
That's how you have to beat him. Unless you're using cheats or like you're on New Game Plus or some shit, if you're on a fresh playthrough, that's the best way to do it. Just buff your attack every turn and then hit him once. Because all you got to do is bring him to half, and then the rest of your team comes in and you fight him, and he brings out, his goons and whatnot. But there's no way you cannot win a slugfest against him because he will beat you. He will 100% beat you.
Yep.
So he's up there for me.
So my third one was actually Bolt Reaver. We already talked about Bolt Reaver, so I've replaced him with the other one that, again, made me kind of question, like, can we do this? And that's Urgon, Crystalbeard. That was the first deviant that we decided to go after because Wolf wanted to make the armor for it. So we were like, okay, or he needed like a Urgon Pallium or something for like some gun that by the time we even got close to getting Palliums, like it didn't even matter anymore. And that, I mean, if you've played Monster Hunter Generations and you got to the deviants and you made it to EX Crystalbeard Urgon, that's the one I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just Crystalbeard himself. I'm talking about the EX version of Crystalbeard, the final mission with him. That mission is such bullshit. It just makes no sense. And that was our first introduction to an EX deviant. Holy shit. The rolling rocks, the extended fucking earthquake, the amount of damage he would do, the amount of HP he had. When we beat him finally, which took it had to take almost 2 weeks of trying. When we beat him, I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. He died. I was like I was by myself in this very room, looking around, like in a Discord call, like there's nobody here. And I'm looking around, like, did that just happen? We beat him? It's possible, but we did it.
Because he was wild.
His hitboxes,
dude,
was off.
Fucking literally, everything was ×2. Like if you fight Urgon and you're here and he slams his chin, you don't get hit. EX, he hits you. It's just like everything was off with that guy. So it was just like a culture shock, fighting, going from regular EX or regular Urgon, which the other ones were kind of tough, like the G rank ones. They were challenging, but then going to that, and we're like, okay, it's just one. It's in the volcano arena, shouldn't be an issue. And then boom, just I'm constantly getting this person fainted, that person fainted. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like it was insane. It was insane. Or Crystalbeard Urgon is up there. He definitely shouldn't have been the first one that we fought. That was a mistake.
He really should not have been. He should not have been the first one we fought.
But I'm glad that we got him out of the way, because after that, I wouldn't say it was smooth sailing, but a lot of the other deviants were a lot smoother than Crystalbeard. Crystalbeard,
we knew what to expect for sure.
He set the expectations very well. He was just like, this is what the rest of the game is going to look like.
Yeah, that's when I knew it was like, oh, defense does not matter. Like, and
if it does, it means you could take 2 hits instead of 1.
Like, you guys had like 800 defense, and this is like maxed out. This is White Fatalis EX, or before we fought him, this was the best armor you guys could get. And you guys had 800 defense. I'm with like 500, and you guys are getting one shot. I'm like, oh, well, fuck me. I might as well just walk out naked. And what got me with Urgon is a stupid roll. He would just leave my crosshair. And again, this is old Monster Hunter. So I'm fucking like, I'm jamming that fucking analog stick to like, where's this guy? Where's this guy? And then he's right behind me, hits me, done.
Yeah.
And I'm dead. I'm insta dead. And it's just like, oh my days. And it's one of those fights where it's like, what can we do? There's no, it's literally get good. I know people say that and they use it in a derogatory sense, but it was really just, you just gotta dodge it. That's my best advice. You just have to dodge it.
Not to mention the sleep AoE, the fire AoE, the slamming, the quake, the tough skin. Like, Uragan really presented a different mindset coming into fighting the deviant monsters.
And
He
it was like his
definitely
nuclear
presented a game
warheads
like
that he
that.
would leave
Yeah.
on the floor. And it's just like,
Oh,
you have to
the
be mindful of
bombs.
those.
The bombs. One would put you to sleep, and the other two will blow your ass up.
Yeah, and you have to
Oh.
know where they are. And
That's the other thing. His chin slam into the sleep smoke. When I first saw the radius of the EX, when I was like, "What the fuck?" Like the man just, it was a biological fucking attack. I was like, "Whoa!" Like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't even make sense. I went back and fought the older one just to make sure I wasn't losing my shit. And yeah, they extended the reach of
Oh yeah.
his smoke, smoke radius. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
And then
Everything
he's-
about
Little
him was
did we know
expected.
And
that
then,
Vault Reaver would be the king. But
yeah,
anyway.
but to also add to that, he's automatically a gold crown large, so that even makes his range even worse. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, all the
I
EXs
didn't know
are
that.
gold crowns automatically.
Yeah, the EXs are automatic gold crowns, so
Oh,
their
I
their
never took
their hit
notice.
radius is literally as large as possible.
Hmm.
Listen, I never took notice because when they died, I smashed the A button to get to the saving screen. So I never took notice that they were gold crown.
All gold
Never.
crowns like that.
Nope, I smashed. I was like, I need to see the saving. I need to see the saving. Like I'm not
I'm
doing
recording
this.
my
I need
progress.
this recorded.
You're not taking this away from me, Capcom.
Yeah,
I
man.
needed this recorded.
That fight was a battle of attrition and positioning. Like you had to make sure you was. It was really hard to position yourself. Like
Attrition and positioning. The only thing I positioned was on his back, putting him to sleep with my sword and shield, or paralyzing him with the sword and shield,
Yeah.
and abusing the mount mechanic. That's the positioning we did. That's how we beat him. We kept him grounded
that's
for the
shit.
most part. It just took a whole 30 something minutes to do.
I mean, thank God we had
That
shields. If
never
we didn't
again.
have shields, it would have been a wrap. It would have been over.
That my shield didn't matter against
I didn't have no
Aragon EX.
I mean, I had a depth evade, but
Do you know how many times I blocked him and I still took 80% of my health? He still took 80% of my health. What did that little shield was really gonna do? Like I didn't have guard up on that sword and shield set. I couldn't afford it because I was so busy with status stuff trying to keep him in place.
Divine
I couldn't
blessing.
afford it.
can't,
All
oh,
of that. All of
can't
that.
use traps. You can't use traps on any of these EXs
Nope.
because they're in a field that is not allow traps. Funny how that works.
Bullshit.
That dude was
That's
nuts.
what that was. Bullshit. So yes, I definitely agree. Aragon EX is definitely one of the harder DVDs. It's never again. Can't pay me. Fuck that.
Okay. Those are some nice ones.
That was my number 3.
Here's my number 3. Since we're in the spirit of talking about missions that Wolf put us through, I'm going to talk about this one because this one was an elite pain in the ass. If I had any hair left on my head, it would have been definitely pulled. And I am going to go with Behemoth. I am going to
That
go
shit was
with
fucking
EX
nuts.
Behemoth. EX Behemoth. I never thought that having the mechanics of a MMO paired with a Monster Hunter game could be so frustrating. You know, like the area was big enough to fight him, but the segments in which that you did fight him in certain places were a pain in the ass because he has certain moves like Christiblis or whatever it's called, which is that wind move that stays there for like 3 minutes. Then he puts rocks in certain places that will be important later on, so you have to like steer clear of him, just so he doesn't break those rocks. Because I had the shield, I had to be the tank, so like having to position myself in a particular way in order for him to not mess with anybody else was pivotal to the entire fight. And then, you know, out of nowhere, here we go. Ecliptic Meteor. It's not like the original fight where he, you know, he's gearing up for it.
Oh yes.
He just does it. He just does it. And it's like, what the hell are we going to do?
And if there were no rocks, that's it. It's over.
That's
Yeah.
it. Game over.
It's a triple
automatic
card.
fail. You
Yeah.
couldn't even outkill it. Yeah.
It was
And honestly,
ridiculous.
I thought you guys were gonna give up on me. I really was putting money on it. Like these guys are gonna give up on me.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get this Dragoon armor.
You are lucky that you have teammates who are like frustrated to the point where this asshole is going down. There's no, I'm not giving up. I refuse to give up. He is going down.
You know what was worse? I think this was the one. It was the run that we won, or it was one of the many, where they had that one. If you guys remember in the volcano, they had that one cave that maybe like Tailstra would go to, where it was like a tunnel that went into an open area where the rocks were unstable. He goes there to sleep, and I remember he went there to sleep, and we were
Woke
going
up.
after him, and he dropped a tornado right at the entrance
Mm-hmm.
to that lair, and it would either one shot or hurt like hell. We couldn't go through it. We had to wait for it to go, and that whole time he was sleeping. And if anybody plays Monster Hunter, they know that if a monster sleeps, they recover a portion of their HP.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing we could do. We had to sit there and wait for the tornado to dissipate on its own, knowing that he just recovered a good chunk of his HP. And I was like, this is some bullshit.
I'll give you a worse one, Gunna. What about the time where we got him to sleep? Everything was running so well. His ass woke up and did Ecliptic Media. No rocks, nothing.
I think that was a mechanic for him though. He had to like, if you put him to sleep, the moment he wake up, he would ecliptic media.
No.
I think that
It's
was a
based off
mechanic
of.
for him.
It's based off of when he's about to die. So when he
His HP
dies,
threshold.
yeah, when he dies,
Oh yes,
he
that's
casts
his last attack is the
Yeah.
ecliptic. Yes, his last attack is the one hit KO attack.
Yeah, and we did so much damage with that. We kind of skipped it. So he didn't put any rocks down. He was like, "Aye, bitch. Well, you still gonna lose." And it's just like, wow. Wow.
That pissed me off because the fight was like it was like one of the most fluid fights we've ever had with a monster. Like it was one of those instances where we got frustrated. All right, guys, let's buckle down, let's get it done. Everything was just running like clockwork. Everybody knew their positioning, tanking, doing what they had to do. Everything was just fine. And then he's like, oh shit, he's going to the last spot. We all really hype and whatnot. One hit, just a tap to the forehead. Woke up and did Ecliptic Meteor. That was the fight. You guys, I think we
That was
logged
like
off that night.
30 minutes or like 20, 25 minutes. It was like, wow.
I think we
I'm
logged
not
off
gonna
that
get
night.
this
I was
back.
like, let's try again. Let's try again.
That fight was something. It was like, oh man, that just makes me reminiscing. Just makes me a little sad for the current state of Monster Hunter. I don't think we're gonna get stories like that again, man.
Yeah.
But that's another topic. That's another topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
True.
Keeping the company, changing the franchise. My number 3 is Virgil from Devil May Cry 3.
Ooh.
Oh.
He
Okay.
drove me mad. He
Oh
drove
yeah,
me fucking mad.
recent Devil May Cry enjoyer over here.
Yes, indeed.
Virgil from Devil May Cry 3 drove me mad because he had a counter for everything.
Mhm.
And then when he activated Devil Trigger, you can't deal damage to him. Not to mention Ebony and Ivory is useless to him, is pointless against him because he'll block all the hits. So I couldn't even go range. The only way that I was able to beat Virgil in Devil May Cry 3 was equip Beowulf and do my jumping rocket down forward kick attack.
Okay.
That was the
Oh, I
only
know
way
the
I could
one.
beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently Devil May Cry is the only action video game where you have invincibility frames on jumping. So I had to jump to evade and then do my rocket kick downwards, jump, rocket kick downwards, jump, rocket kick. It was like he had me tearing out my hair. Everything that I tried against him, I tried all sorts of weapons. I tried the fire and ice weapon, fire wind weapon. I tried rebellion. I even went down to the stupid guitar, and I hated that weapon. I hated the guitar weapon, and I tried that, and he had an answer for everything. I was like, you know what? Let's Google how to beat Virgil in Devil May Cry 3. And some guy on Reddit was like, jump with Beowulf. Okay. And I did that. That's how I was able to beat him. Virgil added on an extra 3 hours of Devil May Cry 3 for me and my time.
No,
So
Virgil's
I
pretty tough.
He's not a cool
yeah, so
character
I'm not
for a
doing that
reason.
fight again.
Okay, so we are winding down to our last picks.
Hmm.
So, my last pick to end my mountain range, um, is Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Solid Rising. So for Metal Gear
Okay.
Solid Rising was kind of the spin-off, takes place after Metal Gear Solid 4. You play as Raiden in his cool ninja getup, and Senator Armstrong is the final boss for that game. It He is literally what he is. He is a United States senator. That is the final boss, which is definitely in keeping with Metal Gear. And the reason why he's so tough is because he has almost no openings. So like he will block and deflect mostly anything you do. His whole gimmick was that his superpowers was that he had nanomachines. And those nanomachines he could use to harden any part of his body, which is why he was able to deflect your sword and all that crazy shit. Plus,
Oh
there
shit.
was stages of the fight where he would throw pieces of buildings at you, and that this game, if you've never played Rising,
I
play
haven't.
it. This shit is
This
fucking like
you talking about this
it's
Hagar with no beard looking motherfucker right here?
yeah, he's just a big buff white dude with glasses. He's a senator. That is his thing. He's just a United States senator. That's his thing. Um and so the whole thing was you were able to cut almost everything, but you had to be really precise with it because he would throw them in quick succession, and if you weren't precise with it, you would take massive damage. Like the dude was freaking nut, but it was such a fun fight. It was frustrating, but it was also fun because the music was hype. Like I don't know. Metal Gear Solid Rising is just it's a game in its own thing. It's a breed of its own. But I remember being stuck on Armstrong for like a solid 5 days, and like I had to do other missions to just practice how to do the sword cutting, just how to get good with it because I had analog sticks. I didn't have mouse. I didn't have the power of a mouse to do it. I just had analog stick. So once I got better at it, I was able to get through that segment easier and just dominate. And eventually I beat him. And it was so satisfying. So for me, the final one, Senator Armstrong, because he's such an obscure, like fucking not obscure, but he's such an outrageous concept for a boss. And he was actually really fucking tough. That game had a lot of tough bosses, but he definitely was number one. And if nobody's ever played it, I recommend give it a shot. It's on Steam. It's a fun game. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. He looks super eccentric. Like he looks like a regular family man. Like he doesn't look intimidating at all.
Nope, he's a senator. Like so, people voted for him in their congressional district. Like that. That's your final boss. And his gimmick is nanomachines. Literally the meme, nanomachines, son. Like that's his thing. Like you gotta. I know you're the streamer. If you could fit it into your schedule, Metal Gear Solid Rising, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I
See
have the
just how
game. I have it, so I plan to play it.
like just how like like it's just fucking obscene and just it's just out there, man. It's just out there. It's when Metal Gear took itself a little bit less serious and it's just like we did it. It's a spin-off that works for me.
Gotcha.
So that's it. That's my mountain range. My mountain range is complete. So what's your final picks, gentlemen?
So for me, it's gonna be from a fighting game. Akuma from Tekken 7 Story Mode.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
beat that at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Me and Esoteric were roommating at the time, and I'm pretty sure he could hear me bitching in the other room and fighting this fucking guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this was off the heels of fighting Devil Kazuya, which was also very difficult. But
Mm-hmm.
Akuma was incredibly cheap because again, they just increased all of his fucking stats and made him super strong. and you're fighting now. You're fighting with Devil Kazuya because he kills Heihachi in the previous fight. So now you have to get used to like this new move set, and you're fighting like this super powerful character who can like just fucking teleport to you, grab you, and just do immense damage or kill you. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll just start over. That was, I mean, it was fucking pissing me off. And I was being super stubborn, and I kept trying, and so I eventually got it. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Instantly regretted it because I was like, I could have did this at another time, and I got to work in like 2 hours. Fuck. So yeah, Kuma Tekken 7 is my final. I have some honorable mentions, but I don't want to cut into in front of anybody, and I know we're going over time, so I'll pass it along.
All right, I guess I'm next. This one is probably a real interesting one. I'm sure Gunner can attest to this boss being annoying as hell. This boss derives from an MMO, which is also within the Final Fantasy franchise, particularly 14, and that boss is King Moogle.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
Yes, King Moogle was a problem. He was so difficult to the point that teamwork really made the dream work. Like, you had to be so in sync with your team that was the only way to beat him. So just to give you guys like a premise for those of you who don't know, right? So King Moogle is the main boss, and then he has like 7 or whichever amount of henchmen he has, depending upon how many players there are on the field. So I believe it was a big raid, so I think it was 8. So he had 8 minions, including himself. And
Yeah, he kept basically had one of every job. He had like a thief,
Yeah.
a warrior, a paladin, a black mage, a white mage. It's been a while, but
a
he had kind
warrior,
of like
a paladin. He basically had like he had everything that was given to you as a class at that time. His team had.
yeah.
So, with that being said, not only did they have the particular class of the game, they also had those roles as well, and they did particular things. So what we had to do as a full unit was we had to make sure that we mitigate whatever damage that they're doing, because they moved as a cohesive unit as well. So you'll have the 2 tanks, because we would have like either a warrior or a paladin, or 2 paladins, 2 warriors, whatever. Then you'll have the respective other classes. And what the Mughals would do is they would have like 2, maybe 3 big moves. So the first move would be like this triangle move where 3 Mughals come together and they do like this triangle move that either does tick damage or it can potentially wipe you. There's another one where particularly the Black Mage, which was the class I was playing, so I was like focusing on them. The Black Mage does this move that takes up the entire arena, and if you don't kill it in time, it'll wipe. And then there was some other moves as well where like some other classes are doing status ailments and whatnot, blah blah blah, this and the third. So the thing that needed to be done was, in order for you to beat the King Moogle, you had to take down each of the minions, but you had to take them all down within the same time frame. So you had to make sure that all their health was depleted at the same time in order to deal damage to the King Moogle. And then there was another phase where like you did that, they would revive, because he would use like his health to revive them back, his energy, excuse me. And then you would have to like rinse and repeat. But there's another part of it where you had to, as you're like wiping them out one by one, he's casting like a spell, and he's casting a spell that will wipe the entire team. So you had to take out all his minions before he was able to release that spell, and then take him out as well. So it was like it was just like a full-fledged team battle. Like, everybody had to be in sync. It was to a point where like players would come in and say, hey, I would like to do this Moogle fight, and you would just see the conversations like, well, do you know the fight? No. It's like, oh, give him the boot, kick him out. Like, you had to know the fight in order for you to be a part of a team. So I remember spending like maybe few weeks on this fight till one day I eventually got a good unit to run it with, and we finally beat him, and that felt so satisfying. Because I mean, remember, this is a game that takes your money on a monthly basis, so it gets annoying when you're not progressing. Like you're fighting bosses and you're just constantly losing, and as the time is going down, like, oh, here's another like $18 for your subscription. It's like, god damn, and I'm still stuck on this damn boss. So he was my number 4. I also have honorable mentions, but I'm gonna pass it along for someone else to speak on theirs.
Um, for me, it was just my last one is Margit, the Fallen Omen from Elden Ring,
Oh,
because he's the hurdle. Like he's like the you get through this, you can get, it is like the introduction to everything else. So it took me quite some tries. It took me a very long time to before I was actually able to pass that hurdle to prepare myself for everything else. Um, but I never forget it because that is the one that was just like, why can't I grasp this? The like, why can't I get this done? I know how to play. I know what to do. I know how to do this, but I just couldn't get it done. It was just overwhelming for me.
he's
That's my
definitely
last.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
That was
definitely tough.
he was definitely a wall. He
Like
was.
for a lot of people, he was just like, because the funny thing with that guy is, if you look at the map for Elden Ring, for anybody that doesn't know, they usually have these like yellow lines that link, that kind of tell, it's the game's way of saying, we recommend you kind of go this way. So it'll go through like the castle, then it'll go to the College of Limgrave where you fight the Moon Chick, then it'll stop. And then there's another one that goes for like the where the Scarlet Rot area is. Basically like a very, very minimalistic kind of suggestion of these are the major bosses you have to fight in order to progress Elden Ring's story. But later on down the line, there's like a little island on the southern part that you start, get levels, and then you go fight Margit. But like most people would just see the line and go, okay, I'm supposed to go this way. And Margit was
Mhm.
like, nah, you definitely beatable. You can beat him at low level, but he's fucking tough.
Mhm.
Most
Yeah,
definitely.
he was pretty difficult for me.
I'm dealing with that bastard, and this has nothing to do with. Well, it's the same guy, but I'm dealing with that bastard sometimes in Elden Ring Night Rain, and even that game, it's like you have way more tools at your disposal. That dude is still rough in that game.
He is. I figured when I first started that I could take him because I knew his like moves and stuff. Yo, I got washed, man. He just folded me like a piece of paper.
To be fair, in Night Rain, you fight Omen Margit, which you don't normally fight him till like the close to the end of the game. That's when he pulls out the sword and he's got all the crazy shit. So to be fair,
True,
but
true.
yeah, that dude is tough. All right, so I don't think we have time for any honorable mention, right? Can I get a time check?
Yeah, we had an hour and 13.
All right, so um, we'll wrap it up here then. So that is our topic. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Thank you, gentlemen, as always, for some fine commentary. Um, this is our Mount Rushmore. So let us know in the comments. What are your Mount Rushmore bosses? What's your 4 bosses that gave you the business you really liked? Just let us know. Um, if you like us, like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Mr. Esoteric is, as I said, as I alluded to, is our resident streamer. He streams on the Logical Gamers channel on Twitch, and he also streams on YouTube. So if you're a YouTube watcher, he now streams there. So I know people have their feelings about Twitch, so he's got you back on that. He's a variety streamer. He plays a little bit of everything. Last time he was playing Night Rain. Before that, he was playing Turtles in Time. So he plays a gambit of games from old school, new school, triple A, double A. He plays a bunch. He was also playing the Neo demo a little bit. So like, if there's a game, chances are he'll play it to a certain degree, right? So check him out. Like him, follow him for stream updates. We have Discord communities. Check that out if that's your thing. We have social medias. Check them out. But I'll stop the spiel there. Once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for commentating. And on that note, we will see you all in the next video.